What up, what up, what up? Welcome to week one of DiNardo's podcast video edition of the 2017 season. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo, and I'm here to talk about baseball. That's right, it's back. We got four days worth of baseball games in, and I'm here to talk to you about just some of the early games, a couple extensions, and then we'll get into my power rankings, which I'll go ahead and release every Thursday on this video podcast. And with that being said, I just want to get into it. So right now, hey, baseball's back. The games kicked off on Sunday. We had Tampa take on the Yankees in Tropicana Field, which of course, when you think baseball, you think of Tropicana Field. Not sure why we're kicking off there, but it is what it is. With that said, the Rays came out swinging, surprised some people, maybe surprised me a little bit. You know, I didn't have them ranked that high initially, but hey, their pitching, it's definitely good. Some of the batting looks like being improved. I like what they've done. Last year I said they're gonna be pretty sneaky and surprise people. Not so sure this year. They're a playoff team. I mean, the AL East is pretty good. The Yankees are on a rebound, obviously, but hey, they came in, they made Tanaka look like he needs Tommy John surgery maybe. But hey, baseball's back. So with that being said, with the AL East, right now, atop it is the Orioles and the Red Sox, both 2-0. Both teams, it's 2 games, not much to say there. The Rays come in 2-1, the Yankees are 1-2, and the Blue Jays are 0-2. Again, it's 2 games, I'm not gonna go in depth much there, but it's a little bit shocking. I mean, the way the Rays have played, they've looked really good, and maybe they've surprised people this year. When you get on the AL Central, there's just a little shock. The Twins 3-0, who saw that coming? The Indians are 3-0, that I really liked. Tigers 1-1, White Sox 1-1, and the Royals 0-3. I mean, who's looking at this division thinking the Royals will be 0-3 and the Twins 3-0? Not me. Then we'll finish it off with the AL West. We got the Astros at 3-0, undefeated. A lot of people's big surprise this year. A lot of people's favorites to maybe win the AL, be the showcase for the World Series. We'll see if I'm a big fan of them later in the show. Then the Angels 2-1, Athletics 1-2, the Mariners 0-3, and the Rangers 0-3. So that's a little bit worrisome there. I mean, let's put it this way. The Rangers, Mariners, also a couple of favorites, start out 0-3. It's not the way you want to start the season. Again, it's 3 games of 162. We ain't worrying. I'm not worried. But there's your AL picture. And let's move on to the NL. Now with the National League, let's start off with the Nationals, right? A lot of people's favorites to win it as well this year. They made a big splash in the trade market per se, made a lot of acquisitions this year. They start off 2-0. The Mets 1-1, Braves 1-1, Phillies 1-2, and at the bottom the Marlins 0-2. Get used to that, Miami. I'm sorry. NL Central, we got the Cubs at 2-1, the Reds at 2-1, the Cardinals at 1-2, the Brewers at 1-3, and my Pirates 0-2. Sorry, Kutch, maybe it's not going to start. But with that said, NL West, we got the Rockies at 3-1, Dodgers 2-1, Diamondbacks 2-1, Giants 1-2, and the Padres 1-2. Hey, the Rockies, they seem to be a lot of people's, not favorites to win it, clearly not. The Dodgers pretty much got that wrapped up, but a lot of people think they're going to win the playoffs, maybe sneak in a wild card or such. Starting off 3-1, so, them expectations are still there. It's pretty solid. The Cubs 2-1, the Reds 2-1. I mean, the NL Central is kind of muddled up right there. And as far as the NL East, it is what it is. Again, just a few games. There's your standing so far. We got a lot of baseball ahead. You can catch us up on the podcast on Monday, and we'll dive into the weekend games. So next, let's talk about some extensions that took place. Now, the Cardinals were pretty quiet this offseason. Not a whole lot of moves were made. They were plagued with a lot of injuries last year, so you could see how, they probably felt comfortable where they were, have guys coming back, they'd be pretty competitive. However, with that said, Yadier Molina was in the contract year. They weren't sure, we weren't sure what direction they were going to go. Were they going to extend him? He's pretty old at this point in time. Were they going to let him go? Because they have a big-time prospect in the minors coming up as a catcher also. But they made the decision. The Cardinals went and extended Yadier Molina at age 34 to a 3-year, $60 million deal, which means this year he's going to get his regular contract paid of $14 million. Next year at age 35, 36, 37. He's making $20 million a year as a catcher. I don't know. I don't like that. I understand he's Molina. I understand he's the face of the Cardinals right now. But these are the extensions that get you in trouble. This is everything I've talked about on the show. $20 million a year, ages 35 through 37. I don't like that. Not as a catcher. I mean, how many innings he's caught? Who knows how his knees are going to hold up? $20 million a year. You have this prospect coming up. The decision to me is, you want this money? Find it elsewhere, because it just ain't going to work out here in St. Louis. But they went and did it. Let's see what happens. The other extension they made was Stephen Piscotty. Now, this one I will say I do like. Stephen Piscotty was a nice prospect coming up. Thing about him, he's a little bit older than a lot of prospects. They might come up at 22, 23. Right now, in his second full season in MLB, he is actually 26 years old. So with Piscotty, he signed himself an extension pretty solid. Let's put it this way. For the next 2 years, making $1.3 million. He's going to go through arbitration after that. He's going to give himself a nice little chunk of change, $7.3 million. Then he's getting $7.5 million, and then he has an option. So essentially, it is a 6-year, $33.5 million deal. Listen, he's 26 years old. They have him all through his prime years. They can pick up an option, and that's through age 32. And then you're on your way to free agency. You know, it gives him the ability to pick up a mega contract then. But again, for me, I'm the type that those are the years I want you. After age 32 and such, gone. You know, I'm not big proponent on free agent signings. Usually they don't work out. So I really like that deal for the Marlins. They locked up a young guy who's great talent. I only see things getting better for him. He's going to improve. So hey, shout out to the Cardinals on one move. Not so much. Play the losing horn for the Yadier Molina deal. All right, and lastly, like I said, I want to go into the DiNardo's Dugout Power Rankings. I'm going to release this every Thursday, and what better time to kick it off than the first week. I put this out as a preseason power ranking, I want to say maybe like December-ish. Didn't really make much changes. Just kind of want to see how it played out. When I released it initially, I had the Cubs number 1. Next off with that was the Indians number 2. If you heard me on my podcast, Geddes trolled the hell out of it. Hey, I'm picking them as the World Series favorites to go back. I mean, right now, to me, it's clear cut. These are the two best teams. You know, you could say the Dodgers. I'm a little weary on the Dodgers. I think very top heavy, not a whole lot of depth. When it comes to the Red Sox, all the talent in the world, you know, with the sticks. But is the pitching really there? Even you acquiring Chris Sale. Hey, you know what? Rick Porcello, I don't trust you. We need more people. And then you got David Price, who's already injured. And, you know, we might not see him for another month or so. After that, it gets real sketchy as well. The bullpen's pretty solid. You know, pitching wins championships. And, you know, they have name recognition. I'll say that. But I don't know if they really have the talent out there to go back into the World Series. I mean, let's look what they had last year, and they got swept by the Indians at home. So they're good, but I'm not picking them as my favorites. But hey, the Red Sox were number 3. Let's just put it out there. Right now for my rankings, I do have the Indians number 1. I switched it up. Just everything I've been seeing from them this offseason. I understand, again, just a few games. I'm not making my decision right now irrationally. But when you really sit down and think about it, when I look at the Indians, they look like a very complete team. Very good. There's really no holes. I mean, they have all the pitching, they have the hitting, they have the defense. I mean, it's absolutely great. Michael Brantley's back, and he looks healthy, which is someone they didn't have at all last year. When you look at the Cubs, there's a lot of talent. But in the same sense, when you look at their season last year, when you dive into it, a lot of things went right for them. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of room for error. This year, things could change. You know, John Lester and Kyle Hendricks, I think both, their FIP was a full run worse than what their ERA was. Things might normalize for the Cubs a bit. I mean, they're still uber talented. Don't get me wrong. But we're talking about number 1, number 2 team. I just like the Indians as a complete package right now. They look like they're a force to reckon with. After that, I do pick the Red Sox. We'll go to the Nationals. Texas Rangers. I like the Texas Rangers. Now, don't get me wrong. Cole Hamels, speak about pitchers that, their FIP was way worse than their ERA. That's definitely one of them. I mean, the way he produced last year, don't expect that again. But they have enough talent. Darvish is coming back. Sam Dyson ain't going to give up 8 runs every time he goes into the game. The bats, they're there. I really like the Texas Rangers. I liked them last year, So I like the Texas Rangers still, even though they're 0-3 to start the season. Next up, I have the Dodgers. Again, they're very top heavy. They have Clayton Kershaw. Kenta Maeda, I don't love him. He's a very solid pitcher, but once he reaches that third time to lineup, I mean, he gets wrecked. And after that, you have Rich Hill. Rich Hill is a guy who, he comes out and gets this pitch that he can't stay healthy with because when he throws it, he gets blisters. I don't know. I don't trust the Dodgers to hold up. Now, the thing about the Dodgers is they have all the resources. They'll make the move to make them competitive. So, if they see themselves anywhere near not making the playoffs, and forget that, anywhere near not locking up the division, they're going to make a splash. They're going to make a move, almost like the Cubs last year did. They have all the resources in the world to do it. That's why I just feel no matter how bad the Dodgers can look at times, they're going to make sure they're in the playoffs. They're still going to be a force to reckon with. Next up, I do have the Houston Astros, number 7. Look, they're talented. They made a splash this offseason as well. They're not my prediction to come out of the AL by any means. I just don't like the way they're getting older. This was a team that was up and coming and very young, a very good core. They trade off pieces to get stuff. I don't like the pieces they traded for. They signed Carlos Beltran to a $16 million deal this year. Guy's 87 years old. I see a huge drop-off coming from him. They're still talented. I mean, look at the pitching. The pitching is awful. If this team would have went and got Quintana, which again, have to give up a lot of young talent to do so, which they've already done, then I could see them being, a solid contender. But at this point in time, I mean, their rotation is not that good. The lineup is solid. Hey, number 7, you're still in the top third of baseball. They're still going to be decent. Next up, I do have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know I might sound homerish. It is what it is. Listen, everything that could go wrong for the Pirates last year did. They went from a 98-win team to a 78-win team. I see things normalizing a bit here. They're still, I don't really look at them at a World Series contender at this point in time, but I think they'll be competitive. Garrett Cole comes back. Jameson Taillon looks awesome. Nova is going to, keep that rotation steady. The bullpen looks better. The bats will be there. Kutch look for a little bit of rebound. So they're my number 8. Next up is the Mets. And as far as the Mets go, how can you not like them? Look at that. Look at that pitching staff. They got enough power. They have enough, offense to get by that rotation. As long as they can stay healthy, the best in baseball, they can easily be, in my mind, better than the Cubs. Maybe not easily, but I could see a scenario where they're better than the Cubs, as long as everyone stays healthy. We'll just run down some. I got the Giants, the Mariners, the Cardinals, Blue Jays, Diamondbacks, and Kansas City Royals to round out the top half. Hey, the Cardinals, they're going to be competitive, like I said, but there's still a lot of regression coming. Guys are older. I'm not in love with them. The Mariners I like now. I don't like the deal that they made. I think Taijuan Walker is an excellent prospect. Listen, though, I have the Diamondbacks at number 14. They rose quite a bit this off season for me. I like a lot of things. I'll tell you what, that Jeff Mathis deal, he is so much better defensively than they had last year. When you talk about pitch framing, absolutely better. They went from one of the worst in baseball to an above average pitch framer. I like what Arizona did this year. They were my GOAT last year. I made fun of them all season long, mainly because of Dave Stewart. He's gone. I like this team. They have the power. AJ Pollock's back. This team has a fierce lineup. They have a solid enough rotation, headlined by Greinke, and a solid enough bullpen that I really think that they could push for the playoffs. I think they could overtake the Giants. And as you see in my rankings, they're pretty close. Giants at 10 overall, and the Diamondbacks at 14. And, I can see a lot of aggression come to the Giants. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks this year. Let's round it out to the bottom. I have the Baltimore Orioles at 16, the Detroit Tigers at 17, the Colorado Rockies at 18. Listen, I know they've gotten a lot of love this offseason for what they did. Listen, it's still Colorado. They still have to have their pitchers pitch there, which no one has found out how to pitch in Colorado, which means they're going to get light up half the time. They're still a middle-of-the-road team, and I just don't see them getting any better until they can draw in some really, really top pitching. Next up, we have the New York Yankees at 19, the Miami Marlins at 20, which, like I said, get used to that. However, rumor is Derek Jeter, Jeb freaking Bush, and some other third unknown party is looking to buy the Marlins. Please, Jeff Loria, sell the Marlins. Please, for baseball. Please, for the people of Miami. Nothing's going to change with this team until Loria's gone. You got the Rays at 21. Like I said, they could be a sneaky force, better than a lot of people give them credit for. The Braves at 22, very young, up and coming. This team's going to be really good in a couple of years. Then come down to the bottom. We got the Angels, the Brewers, the Twins. You got the Phillies, the White Sox, the Reds, the Oakland A's, and possibly the most historically worst baseball team ever, the San Diego Padres. Listen, this team is going to be awful. The rotation is atrocious. Everyone should score 10 runs on them, even though the Dodgers weren't able to. But anyways, that rounds out the power rankings. Again, I really like Cleveland. I just like what they're doing. I needed to see this offseason. Michael Brantley he looks like he's back. He's not going to play a whole lot. Expect probably 100 games to 120 if he's healthy. I'm sure there's going to be some times he's out for, a dinger there. But listen, that's 120 more games than he had last year. So right now at this point in time, it's the Indians. You doubt me, you have any questions, you want to come at me, go ahead and tweet at me, DiNardo's Dugout. You hit me up on Facebook, DiNardo's Dugout. Hit me up anywhere on DiNardo's Dugout. So we'll discuss. And like I said, check me out on Monday. I'll have my podcast with Geddes. And until then, get out of here.